gamers? Welcome to the GAU podcast. I am Eric Rickety Beans Rubino, and we all make up Gamers Are Us. Why don't you guys introduce yourselves? Let's start with you to my right.
I am Drew Frere, aka Adamisk. I play a lot of League of Legends, a lot of PC gaming, and I'm happy to be here, ready to talk some podcast news.
Talk some news. Talk about candy and stuff. Who's the stranger on the far side of the table over here?
Datsugo. Hey guys, how you doing? What's up?
How you doing?
They can't talk back to you.
Yeah.
That's all I got. That's all I got.
How you doing tonight, God?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. Can't complain.
What are you
Cold
playing?
out. I'm playing. What am I playing? COD still, obviously.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's got to train. He's got to train.
Call of Duty.
But also, not in studio, we have Alex joining us over Skype from Nova Scotia. How are you doing out there, Alex?
Man, I wish I wasn't here!
And why is that? Is Nova Scotia a bit
Nova
too cold?
Scotia sucks. There's nothing out here but potatoes and fish, and there's no fish anymore.
Frozen fish. And no potatoes, I'm assuming.
Man, they don't let
cold,
us
yeah.
fish anymore, man. They don't let us fish.
You should have thought that through, man, before you moved to Nova Scotia.
Well, the four of us and all of you guys make up Gamers Are Us. It's in our DNA. Make sure you check us out at gamersareus.com for the latest news, trailers, reviews, commentary, podcasts, whatever you want on video games. Make sure you like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, and, you know, all the other internet things that you can do. That's gamersareus.com. But right now, we are coming at you live from the Microsoft Store in Boston, Massachusetts on January 27th, 2014. And this is when we have our podcast. And, well, tonight's discussion is has been all over the internet. And, you know, we just want to stoke the fire because everybody has to have their own input on the subject.
I love stoking.
Well, this you may be familiar with a game called the Candy Crush Saga. It is made by a company called King.com. And basically, they have a ton of iPhone, iOS games, whatever. But they have recently sought to trademark the word candy with the European Union and also in the United States.
Oh, they haven't just sought it. They have. They've done it. It's
well,
trademarked.
so yeah, what happens is once you trademark, you have 5 years for it to basically be official or not. So we have 5 years to fight this tooth and nail. But not only candy. They also are going after Stoic's new game, the Banner Saga, for using the word saga. Now, King is doing this, they say, is to prevent knockoff versions of their own games and to prevent confusion for other games. So if there's Candy or Saga in the name, they won't get confused and buy that one by accident. However, lots of bad news has come up with King. King.com apparently cloned an indie game back in 2009 when the makers refused to sell it to them. The funniest part is the name of that game that they called it is Pack-Avoid. So they use the term pack in the game, and they're trying to prevent other companies from doing said things. But not only that, they ripped off at least 5 other games at this point. I mean, Candy Crush Saga is Bejeweled, Papa Pear Saga is Peggle, and Bubble Witch Saga is Bust a Move. They're no stranger to knocking off other people's games, but they want to prevent the same thing from happening to them.
I guess they're in a unique position to
Discuss.
realize what can happen with it.
Yeah. So
they don't want someone to rip off their rip-offs, man.
Do you think that's what it is? They know what they're up to and they're trying to... what are they doing here? What are they?
Why don't they sue for the word the? You know, someone at some point is going to say someone is using the in the title of their name, and for God's sake, you cannot do that. They'll confuse their the with our the.
I mean, we have seen stuff like this before. I believe somebody in the past tried to copyright Edge as it relates to gaming, just like these guys. It only relates to gaming. It's not like you can't be called a candy store. It only relates to gaming and electronics like that.
That's where you're wrong. They've moved outwards and they've checked off pretty much all the boxes. Celebrities who are on television cannot use their trademarks. Baby monitors cannot use their trademarks.
So they just can't be called candy at all.
It's a really widespread claim they're making here.
So you cannot call actual candy candy anymore because some knockoff piece of crap company decides to trademark the bugger. Are you kidding me? I mean, it may be technically within the law, but damn it, it is outside of the spirit of the law. Come on.
That's
Any judge could see this a mile away. It is like there has to be some level of interpretation here, and this definitely violates the spirit of trademark law. Totally.
Yeah.
I think if anyone passes a lawsuit over this, they're going to be laughed out of court personally.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Sue Halloween?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's where do you go from there? If I think it's just a waste of time for people actually trying to make real games. They can't now because they have to deal with some asshats over at King.com who are like taking a crap on the video game industry by doing this. Like people want to make games. Like I understand you want to protect your thing. So if somebody actually does attack you and do it, by all means sue them. But for them to do something like this without anybody infringing on them to begin with, it just seems like the wrong way to go about it.
Well, the
Yeah.
big problem here is that since King.com has registered the trademark as Candy and Saga, they've also registered, they are obligated to defend it in all cases that are under the...
They are obligated
Yeah,
to.
so even if they don't want to, they have to. And I think it was just basically stupidity on their part to go for such, like, it's going to be a fortune in legal fees if they go after
Exactly.
everyone.
General word, like,
And they
Hey
have
man,
to.
maybe it'll drive him out of business and do everyone a favor.
You can hope. I mean, what were you gonna
oh,
say?
did you guys hear about the indie game jam that spawned because of this? They became so they made like games called Candy,
Yeah.
and other
Basically,
Yeah.
as many games as you
Saga,
can make.
Saga.
Just to troll
Yeah.
them.
Saga.
The
game
Candy
about
Saga.
sagas.
I might just
The
make a game
Saga
called
of Candy.
Saga and just like do it. Go ahead.
Candy Saga.
Come at me, bro.
God forbid anything gets
Rick and
crushed.
Bean.
Yeah.
Candy Saga.
So what is this? This means basically, in essence, that something like Candyland can't have a game now. Like, if you wanted to have an iOS Candyland game, there's King Candy, there's Candyland. You can't do that
Even the
now.
board game would be in trouble, honestly.
True.
Couldn't somebody argue
Oh,
that they
the
had the
board-
intellectual property before? I mean, intellectual property is this whole other thing
It's
too.
ridiculous. Yeah.
What's
Can I spell
the
Candy
board
with a
game?
K? Is that the same thing?
I mean, there's no way
Candy,
they
like-
could stop the development of a video game version of the board game if, say, Mattel or whoever the hell owns the IP.
Well, they,
There's
yeah,
no way to stop that. Its precedent way outweighs the new Candy Crush
Well,
one.
let's look at another app, Words with Friends, that recently produced a board
Okay,
game.
yeah.
Oh, they
that
did?
we also
They have
know
a
as
board game.
Scrabble.
So they
Oh,
made an
wow.
actual board game.
Yeah,
Out
it's
of
just the...
Scrabble.
But see, that shows that I mean, sorry to cut you off, but that shows that people do copy other ideas, right?
Yeah, and I think that like the newer guys are having an advantage for some reason. There's no grandfathering in here, no
Yeah,
precedent.
right.
It's
right.
like the newer IPs just are taking a crap all over the older guys.
Well, the internet is calling them copyright trolls, and they go around and they
Oh.
do stuff like this, and they specifically will be like, oh, what my crappy game that I just made. Apparently, you can even do this with concepts. If you go, I have an idea for a console that uses a camera and you can talk to it, they can technically like sue Xbox for
Yeah.
infringing upon their
That is-
mental intellectual property. So
Well, look at PlayStation when it first came out. They couldn't use the term force feedback. They had to use
oh yeah,
DualShock or...
well, the DualShock was the copyright thing, so they had to figure that out. So they called it force feedback, and then they had to change it to haptic feedback.
Yep.
And then they finally won the suit and got it back to DualShock. So yeah, I mean, it's been happening in the industry for a while, but it's still copyright trolling. Like,
Yeah.
As a consumer, I'm not very confused, but I guess old people could get confused, so that's the reason why you can do something like that.
Oh.
I mean, I was just at Redbox today, and I was looking at the movies, and there's all these new movies like Frozen Kingdom. that
You
it-
could
it's-
get
it's supposed to
frozen.
yeah, it's supposed to like confuse elderly people or something.
it's like what the Wii
It's
U did, but in the
starring
opposite
Steven
way.
Seagal.
So what happened exactly? When did we take this turning point where newer IPs started getting all the rights over these older IPs that existed tens and 20s of years beforehand?
Honestly, I think it's just because the people who came up with the ideas back then weren't rude enough to do this kind of stuff. They were like,
Yeah.
"Hey, people are gonna know the difference between the Banner Saga and Candy Crush Saga. I think
Well,
my
also-
consumer will know the difference when they're going." to
Didn't their
purchase it."
copyright, basically their copyright, their trademark claim run out by this point? For a number of things. Well, not for the Banner Saga, but for like, a number of companies, like for instance,
I
if you
wouldn't
talk
say
about like a board game company and things like that.
Maybe like
Well, they
Beowulf
say
Saga. That one probably ran
Well,
out.
they say that you have to, in order to keep a copyright, you have to use it once every 5 years or reactivate it. So that's why a lot of times you'll see like, oh, this they just reactivated this yada 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 game trademark or like Spyro, and it's like, oh well, technically it's not really because they're gonna make a game. It's just so they don't lose the rights to it.
Yeah.
So somebody in the 5 year period, basically, is what they have this for. in a way.
Skylanders was the Spiral game, I guess. and-
Skylanders was
Then they
it
took
was
them off it.
Spyro Skylanders.
It
Now it's
was.
just Skylanders Swap Force.
Yeah.
Swap Force.
Don't even get me started on Skylanders. I could go for days.
I mean, at least it's kind of an original idea. Like
Yeah,
what,
I
what we
mean-
have here is disgusting.
Yeah, they're just trying to get money.
Yeah,
And
well,
I mean,
well,
remember a game company before this that kind of did that, and they were called PopCap Games.
PopCap.
Oh wait, what did they do?
Well, they would take indie games and basically just copy them word
Yeah.
for word, and then since they were such a big company that they could just completely
They just
overpower.
make it.
Oh.
Well,
Well, didn't PopCap also have their own some actually decent?
I thought
Original
PopCap.
stuff
didn't
like,
didn't they even make
Peggle.
Plants vs
I
Zombies?
think they made Bejeweled too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they did
Yeah.
Bejeweled, they did Peggle,
Peggle, yep.
didn't they? Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean
they
they made
did.
some good. I mean,
If you search
they
them up
had all sorts of
online,
good
you'll see
stuff.
all the indie devs who are like, "What? That's my game that I made 3 years ago." And pitched to
Oh.
PopCap.
Well,
Oh wow,
well-
that's dirty.
one last question because we gotta wrap up
Douches.
fairly soon. What do you guys think can be done to prevent like companies like this from doing stuff like this in the future? You think it's a law thing? You think it's us standing up and saying no? What do you guys think we can do?
I feel like, I mean, it's the same thing when Donald Trump tried to like copyright his name and like sue Mac Miller for using his name in his song. You know, it's like you can't. And it's commonplace. Candy is gonna be used in a lot of games in the future, and I don't know how they're gonna go about it unless they're really trying to just get money, and that's gonna look really bad on them in the future and their future endeavors.
I mean, I think that we just have to let this play out. It's going to be a brief flashbang in the timeline of video game intellectual properties.
That's what I think.
And
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
just going to burn out real quick. I hope it's going to cost King a lot of money in the process. I hope
mean,
that they lose every penny they made. with
King,
that
the
game.
new Zynga, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
isn't Zanga going now?
Chanima. Alex.
Well,
Alex-
eventually, companies like this usually, a lot of industries, you kind of have to have some degree of cooperation. Eventually they're just, no one wants to work with them. They're gonna lose,
Mm,
It's true.
and having a bad reputation does hurt business.
definitely. Especially with the community like gamers, we tell each other everything of like, oh, this game was terrible.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly. I
And
mean,
But
the
here's
word
the
of mouth
thing.
goes by quick.
Yeah.
Candy Crush is not a game for gamers. Candy
Yeah.
Crush is a game
No.
for
Exactly.
old people and children.
My coworker plays it.
Says
He's
the
like
kid who
40
plays it.
something, Yeah.
As a game journalist, you have to investigate
You
every
have-
single
you
part
have
of
to.
games.
Yeah, right.
Cut it out because
You have
it's
to.
popular crap.
Right.
You can't help that he paid for a couple levels, you know?
Whoa, shots fired
Whoa.
on the podcast. I didn't
Okay.
think Candy Crush would be our breaking point, Datsugo, but I guess we found out where we go.
All right,
Friends
all
no
right.
longer.
Let's go down the line. What games we're playing? We already know you're playing Call of Duty
Playing
over
COD,
there.
yeah, same old same.
True. What are you getting into?
I played Dark Souls and Hearthstone all day.
Oh,
Nice.
oh, okay. Hearthstone.
You gotta get on Hearthstone,
yeah,
yeah.
I know.
You can come at me.
Yeah.
You can fire real shots.
Well,
What are you playing, Eric?
I've been playing Dark Souls as well. I've gotten really into it. Since I've been cursed, I haven't gone back because I'm set. I beat Brothers this week though. Pretty
Nice.
good game. I know Alex beat that too.
Game of the Year material? People
Not-
are saying
not-
it's Game of the Year.
It was a good game. It wasn't Game of the Year material. It was very unique, but the story and the simlish, it was kind of just weak at the end. What was the other? Oh, I put in GTA 5 today. So played that, and I had a lot of fun. I almost didn't make it to the show because I was just like, this is great. That's what I love about GTA. You can put it in and just like restart,
Reminiscing.
run rampant,
Yeah.
switching between characters. I had some fun. But,
yeah.
and League of Legends always. Alex, what are you up to over there playing? What are you playing?
Insurgency,
Yeah,
pretty much.
Insurgency.
Nice. How
Miss-
was it?
It's basically a cross between Counter Strike and Battlefield.
Oh.
So it's a lot of
Free-to-play?
no. It's a lot of fun.
Oh,
About
okay.
$15 though. 13 to 15,
Is it
depending.
Greenlight? Because I think I saw it.
It's
I'm.
No,
it
right?
might have went through Greenlight.
It
Oh,
might have
okay.
gone through Greenlight, but it's in full release now.
Oh, okay.
Alex, why don't you plug your feature while you're at it?
Well, you'll be able to find the feature on the GAU Studios YouTube channel eventually when I re-upload it again.
As well as
And
GamersRUs.com.
what is
will
the
be on
feature
there.
this week, since we didn't get to see it?
Insurgency.
Insurgency.
Oh, Insurgency is the feature? Okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
with it.
Alec Drew was sleeping for a little bit there. Well, on that note, I want to thank everybody for watching. I want to thank Drew, I want to thank Gustavo, and I want to thank Alex for Skyping in. I also want to thank Frank and James for running the board. I want to thank Denton for being here as always, and Adrian for coming in to save the day. Superman style. Thank you to Sam for making sure everything was running up to par. Also, thank you to the Microsoft Store. They are a great help. They let us use these Surface Pros all the time. I love them. I'm all for one. I can't wait to have one of my own. And a special shout out to Replayed. If you need any new games used, anything like that, go on down to Replayed and check it out. You can check out all the gaming news and reviews at gamersrus.com. Follow us on Twitter, like us on Facebook, subscribe to the YouTube.
You guys know how to use those things.
You guys know where to
You're already
find
listening
us.
to a gaming podcast.
Make sure you check out the GAU Weekly News. And Gustavo, isn't there a tournament on February 5th?
There is at the White Horse Tavern. Yeah, 2v2 COD tournament, esports rules. Make sure you bring your controllers, your A game. If you want to bring your headset, you can bring that too.
You can bring a B game if you want.
Yeah, you
though.
can bring your B game. It's a good
I'd be okay with
environment,
that.
A lot of good people there. There's some fighters there too, but come for the COD tournament. It's gonna be really good. We got it all set last week, and it was a lot of fun.
That's 116 Brighton Ave. If you're not into Call of Duty, don't worry. There will be some next-gen FIFA and next-gen NBA 2K14. I can't even call it next-gen. There will be this generation, the best generation.
And they have the
You know,
current gen pool.
The latest
as
and
well.
greatest. Yeah, it's going to be really fun. I recommend that everybody come out. But on that note, that's all the time we have for tonight. It is that time that we must go. I'd like to sign off. Good night, gamers.
Good night, nerds.
Adios.